tonight, I would love to invite you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will move on to the approval of minutes. We have the approval of minutes for a regular governing board meeting on January 13th, 2026, and the organizational meeting held on the same date. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
Thank you. We have Mr. King and Mr. Buster. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. We'll move on to general functions, staff, student, and community recognitions. Mr. Kruth.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. We don't have any special announcements, but we do have several recognitions. This evening, up first is Ms. Sarah Bates, followed by Mr. Mark Green.
Good evening, Superintendent Kruth, President Pratt, and members of the board. Tonight, I'm here to recognize several amazing Vail School District employees. I'm going to kick it off with some folks from Vail Inclusive Preschool. I'd like to recognize Patty Gallimore and Holly Crabb. They have been incredibly positive and proactive and supportive during a time of challenge and change. They've been flexible, accommodating, and solution-focused while continuing to support our students and families at Cienega VIP. Their professionalism, kindness, and willingness to step up have made a real difference. And I'm truly grateful just the care and the heart that they bring to work every single day. Next, I'd like to recognize Laura Emsley. Laura is been helping with some ongoing situations that we've had, and she is always willing to listen and provide thoughtful, steady guidance. I always leave Laura's office feeling stressed out, overwhelmed. Laura, help me fix it. Do something, Laura. And I always leave laughing because she's just kind and genuine and listens and is, I think, should be paid partially as our therapist, not only our director of HR. So I adore her as a person, but as a colleague, she just brings a level of steady, calm leadership that I greatly lean into and significantly appreciate. And then lastly, I'd like to recognize our community program site directors and assistant site directors for their consistent leadership and commitment to growth as a department. We are getting ready to gear up for our annual data dig. So our leadership team's been digging into the different components that we look at to ensure our success in community programs. And one of the things that I want to highlight is we've been working pretty hard on trying to get the right people on the bus, making sure that we have people who are committed to the vision and mission of community programs. And that's really hard work to get all those arrows aligned and to get the right people moving in the same direction, achieving those mission and vision. And we've been able to do that and also increase our protective school assessment survey scores by 5% overall from last year to this year. Each one of the sites is also above 80%. So I'm just incredibly proud of the leadership of our site directors and community programs and the work that they're doing to fulfill our mission and vision. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Mr. Green, followed by Mr. Brown.
Good evening, President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, members of the governing board. Tonight, I'd like to recognize some folks from our technology team, in addition to some other folks who helped pull off a really large event. I'll start by recognizing our STC leadership team. These folks really help all of our different grade bands, all the STCs, elementary, middle, and high school, and those folks are Elaine Murphy, Suzanne Brazel, Daniel Hughes, and Wayne Grittis. Their leadership has just really helped shape our team over the last few years. Next, I'd like to retire one of our STCs who's going to be retiring at the end of the year. We still have the rest of the semester with him, but Bob Koenig has been with the district since we opened Cienega, so this is 25th year here, and he's been here this whole time. I believe he's a third generation educator as well. And so we just really appreciate his contributions here over the last 25 years and we'll miss him. Next, I would like to recognize Steve Lee and Dakota Melcher, who have been working to implement a new ticket system for our facilities and maintenance departments who've been using some pretty outdated stuff. And they've been working hard to get that rolled out and it's going pretty good so far. And lastly, I'd like to recognize some folks who put on our computer science night at Micah Mountain in December before we left for the break. I think this was one of the best ones we've had. We had Dreamscape Immersive VR there, robotics, coding, AI. We partnered with ASU, U of A, City of Tucson, Pima Community College, and Starbase to pull off this event. And it was really just organized by a wonderful team, our computer science advisory team. I started this event in 2017, and it's been so nice to just see what it's turned into, and so amazing that it can be like a million times better when you hand it off to really awesome people. And this team is Rita Boyd, Rachel Tankersley, Derek Langley, Andrea Carver, Anna Kavanaugh, Jean Wages, Elaine Murphy, and Brian Turner. And that evening, we also had additional support from Kayla Sampson, Caroline Marvin, Eileen Chan, Ashley Lavanos, Melanie Stewart, Christine Pellizzari, Desiree Lorenz, John Pyatt, and Charlie Cross. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Brown, followed by Mr. Campos.
Good evening, President Pratt, Ruth, and governing board members. Tonight, I'd like to take a moment to recognize some outstanding work by our transportation team following an incident in the afternoon of January 8th of this year. The first recognition is for school bus driver Cynthia Ochedena. While driving her route with 24 elementary students on board, she noticed that some heavy smoke was coming from the back of her bus. And anyone who works in transportation knows how frightening a bus fire can be and how quickly that situation can escalate. Cynthia immediately pulled over. She stayed calm, and she quickly and safely evacuated all the students. And once everyone was off the bus, Cynthia walked to the back of the bus, and what she discovered was a student's cell phone was smoking. It was set on the bus seat. She quickly removed it from the bus by throwing it out a window, eliminating the risk for a bus fire. I'd like to also recognize bus driver Gabriel Santillanes, who stopped to help supervise the evacuated students, and then he later helped transport them to complete their route. Several other transportation staff members who also stepped in to support and manage that situation include supervisors Mike Blevins and Ryan Wall, mechanic Dan Noth, Pamela Lepora, Kathleen Newman, Ashley Magyar, Audrey Conahay, and Patty McKnight. This incident highlights the why training and teamwork and professionalism are so important. We are very proud of Cynthia, obviously, and our entire transportation team for always putting student safety first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Campos.
All right. Good evening, President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, and members of our governing board. I'd first like to recognize Brian Frizzell from Andrada High School and his club leader, Sabine. They partnered with us. They wanted to do a community outreach project, so they reached out to us, and we brought them on campus for about 2.5 hours to be with kindergarten students, first grade students, and second grade students. And they did everything from sight words to ELA centers, but it was really fun feedback, debriefing with the high schoolers afterwards, and it was a great time. They had fun, and just seeing the partnership between our younger students and our high school students and how much our elementary students look up to our high school students was just a fun, neat connection to see. So thank you, Mr. Parks and his team for allowing their students to come over during the school day with us. We would like to recognize our art teacher, Miss Biega, music teacher, Miss Welchel, Mr. Peppo, our advanced math teacher, and Mr. Menson, our third grade teacher. They are heading up all of our Vail Pride Day things. So we're in Vail Pride Day season right now. So they're working with Academic Jeopardy, Math Bowl students. I just appreciate their hard work and dedication to our students for what's going to be a great Vail Pride Day. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. I have a few other district-wide recognitions I'd like to acknowledge. First up was the spelling bee, was held last Friday, actually 2 Fridays ago. And first off, Ms. Megan Nolan is the person who coordinates that district-wide and has been doing that since she took over for me. And when there was a little bit of a kerfuffle around the spelling bee many years ago. Don't ask me to spell kerfuffle. And has been doing an exceptional job, so much so that she is still doing it. And also, I want to acknowledge Miss Kelly Pinkerton. Individually, she has been the announcer at the district spelling bee, which of all of the jobs that you have at the spelling bee, being the person who correctly pronounces every word, that is by far the most challenging and might have led to my kerfuffle. that I got booted from several years ago. But there's many other people that have that make the spelling bee happen every year. Besides those two, including Brian Turner, Mary Garcia, Rita Boyd, Brandy Dreamich, Lindsay Wall, Amy Osmond, all the K-8 spelling bee coordinators, the staff of the Vail Theater of the Arts, transportation, and Aaron Mark. So thank you to all of them for making the spelling bee tradition continue on. Also want to acknowledge the Gifted Advanced Learning Program students at Esmond Station participated in the State Future Cities competition, and they took home awards, including the Excellence in Use of Building Materials, the Reese STEM Award of Distinction, Best Land Survey Practices, second place Educator of the Year, and second place team. And the second place team is going to Washington, D.C. in February to compete with teams across the country. In fact, I had to give administrative approval on their travel because they'll be on the next board packet as well, because they needed to make plans for their travel plans for that. But very exciting for them and their second place win and their travel to DC. You may have noticed there's some balloons at the edge of the board table. It's not anybody's birthday up here that I'm aware of. However, January is Board Appreciation Month, and I just want to acknowledge people who want to acknowledge you for making that happen. I know at our last board meeting, we took some more time to acknowledge the Llewellyn Klein's Award that you all as board members received. But just wanted to continue that tradition and also acknowledge that the pictures that are flowing through their screens this evening are all board focused. That we appreciate you very much and for the work that you do. Also on your table is a pen set provided by the Vail Education Foundation, the Vail Foundation for you. And as we move into February and away from Board Appreciation Month, I promise we will still appreciate you all, but perhaps not as loudly as with balloons and on a regular basis at our board meetings. That's all I have for staff, student, community recognitions this evening.
Mr. Carruth, and we appreciate you. Our next item is call to the public. These are items for people who would wish to speak to the board, not on items on tonight's agenda. I have one. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak to the board tonight, not on tonight's agenda? Okay, so our first and only one is Kurt Rice. I'd like to come up. We'll bring up the timer here, and then I will just read this. At this time, the board may consider and discuss comments and concerns for the public. Those wishing to address the governing board on items not on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Speakers are requested to hold their comments to 3 minutes in accordance with Arizona open meeting law. Board members may not respond, comment, or ask questions of speakers regarding issues not on tonight's agenda. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, members of the board. Appreciate your time. Kurt Rice grew up Old Spanish Trail on 22nd, 54 years ago, and long before Vail was a school district, but this is my home. And one of the things I do is I do a lot of construction. I build a lot of neighborhoods out here. But something coming up that everybody's gonna be seeing in their mail soon is the RTA Next mail-in voting. That's gonna be a significant funding resource to improve roads in and around the Vail area. There's 2 projects that are coming up, projects 17 and 18. Project 17, which is about 6 years into the new RTA plan, starts this year if it passes. The Colossal Cave Road from I-10 to Camino Loma Alta to provide a grade separated crossing of the dual railroad tracks in the vicinity of the Colossal Cave Road. The widening connection to facilitate a 4-lane divided highway. I think everybody being on board with that, but it is going to affect a lot of the Vail School District's properties. Acacia, Old Vail, your Bus Barn, Cienega, and then Project 18 on Marianne Cleveland, Houghton Road widening, or excuse me, Marianne Cleveland widening from Houghton to Colossal Cave Road. Also going to 4 lanes, 4 lanes wide, turn lanes, bicycle, pedestrian, and associated intersection and drainage improvements. Somewhere around the total bill of right now, $87 million. Significant improvements on the east side that are needed. RTA next is a continuation of the current RTA. So the funds that they're looking for, not going to be raising your taxes. I would just like everybody to consider it. I'm going to leave some paperwork in the back of the room, just for informational. Roads and corridors, 1.2 billion for all of Pima County. Transit, 726 million. Arterial roads and collector rehabilitation, 178 million. Safety and active transportation programs, 255 million. 2/3 of the funding in the last 20 years has come from the RTA, and it's expected to be 75% moving forward. Private monies pulled through the RTA will draw state and federal funds for matches, and then be able to build on that. So just want to say thank you to the board for the time, and I'll leave some paperwork in the back of the room. Mail-in ballot only. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Our next item is called, acknowledgement of public request to speak. I don't see anyone here wishing to speak to the board on items on tonight's agenda. So we will move on to correspondence and reports. The first item is superintendent. Mr. Cruz.
Yeah, thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. And before Mr. Rice walks out of the room, I just want to acknowledge in my superintendent's report that I've sent out information via our monthly parent email regarding RTA for parents to consider. And I just strongly encourage any parent or anybody in our community to just get informed on the issue. Fundamentally, you just need to know what the information is. And so sent out a link for where people can find additional information. There are 2 very large projects in our area that are under consideration that would be funded if that is approved. So, and the other thing I would say relative to that is that it is a mail-in ballot. The ballots are going to go out sometime early February, and the election itself closes on March 10th. So regardless, get informed. There's some knowns we're growing in this area. Regardless of how something is funded, I think there's pretty broad agreement that road infrastructure improvement in our area is a critical issue. So that's all I have for superintendent's report.
Thank you. Next item is board reports. Are there any board members wishing to make a report this evening? Mr. King, you want to start with you?
Fairly short report tonight. So did attend a site visit earlier this week, or late last week, at ORE in Sawyer Creek. And it was kind of neat to see what Sam's doing with ORE and kind of Samizing, ORE and seeing what she's doing over there, as well as Kate taking, charge of Sawyer Creek and seeing how the ship looks like now that it's all up and running. So, and it's kind of neat seeing it without all the construction equipment and everything else out there. So also attended the religious leaders lunch. I think that was last week. And then that was actually pretty good. And we actually got to, have pretty decent conversations. Also, this is School Choice Week, and I want to thank the parents, family members, community members for choosing Vail, because we know that we provide a high quality education here. We want to acknowledge parents for choosing that. And then this is the 250th year of our nation. A little over 200, about 250 years ago, the Declaration of Independence was signed. So Arizona, actually Tucson, the mission here in Tucson, actually played a part in the American Revolution, and they donated 459 Mexican silver pesos to the Revolutionary War cause. So that's my board report.
Thank you, Chris. Other board members wishing to make a report? Mr. Buster?
Thank you. On January 17th, in strong remembrance, I, along with fellow board members, Mr. Caruth, and so many of our school district and community attended the funeral services honoring the life and legacy of former Vail Superintendent, Mr. Calvin Baker. Later, we also participated in Mr. Baker's celebration of life at Micah Mountain High School, where students, staff, and the broader Vail community gathered to reflect on Mr. Baker's profound impact on his family, our district, and education leaders across Arizona. And I just want to say to the Baker family, as well as our school district, thank you for doing everything that we did to honor this phenomenal man that gave so much to so many on a regular and consistent basis throughout the course of his life. On the 22nd, I, along with Assistant Superintendent Miss Katie Dabney, as well as Director of Safety, Mr. Jerry Brown, the Director of Community and Connections and Student Supports, Ms. Heather Stowe, Grants Manager, Ms. Julia Pierce, and Lead Counselor, Ms. Amanda Cook, engaged with state leaders at the Pima County and Pima County Safety Representatives in a session focused on legislative updates, grant opportunities, compliance requirements, and emerging best practices from the Arizona Department of Education. Really phenomenal opportunity for all of us, and I see the opportunities for our leadership to get together and gain some of these great resources that are finally being provided by the state. So I'm glad that those individuals were there so that we can capitalize on the opportunities that lay ahead. On the 23rd, I joined Ms. Pratt, Mr. King, Ms. Anderson, and Superintendent Caruth for the site visits of Ocotillo Ridge Elementary School and Soraro Creek K-8 school. Huge appreciation is extended to both Principal Samantha Dameth and Principal Katie Robold for providing comprehensive tours and highlighting the instrumental improvements throughout the campus, points of pride, and opportunities to connect with school administrators and staff. It was really, really an outstanding time to go ahead and see these schools and see young people just frolicking and doing great things within education. It was just really incredible to see them do what they do, and they do so well. That's all I have.
Mr. Bester? Ms. Anderson, do you have one?
Yeah, I'm not going to add on to the things that others have said that I think I was at. I was just wanted to, which I appreciate being at those things too, but they've already been spoken about. I got to go to a reality check lunch with Mr. Caruth at Sycamore Elementary. And they're one of my favorite things that we get to do as a school board because we get to sit with staff at the schools and really just for a few minutes get to know them better and vice versa. Like I think it's such a great opportunity to learn their stories and for them to see us and hear and just thank them for the work that they do. And so, and every time I step on campuses, I just realize the good and how grateful I am for the work that they all do. And I see Tori back there and just, it was good to see her that day. And so grateful for the work that's being done at Sycamore.
Thank you. Any other board reports? I also attended the religious leaders meeting last week and want to say thank you to Kevin Canterbury, who with Vail Christian Church, who hosted the meeting. It was really great discussion and a great group of people there to talk about the families and students in our community. I know that you mentioned it, but I also want to just recognize and congratulate Jen Campos at Esmond Station for earning for the second time Educator of the Year at Future Cities, and for her second place team winning that overall second place. Just so exciting for them. I know how hard they've worked. I went in a couple times to volunteer. My son went in to volunteer, and I know they worked so hard. So anyways, huge congratulations to them. And then I also want to say thank you to all the high school principals and the time that they're taking for the 8th grade choice open houses. I know that that's a lot of work, but I was volunteering at one of them, and it's so exciting to see these future freshmen, these 8th graders that were just so excited to be on campus and making decisions for their future. It's just, and for the parents, it's just a really exciting time. So thank you for taking the time to do that, to open your doors to families in our community. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed below are consent matters and will be considered by one motion at this time. There'll be no discussion of consent items. Any board member may remove an item from the consent agenda by request. All items not accepted and approved as part of the consent agenda will be considered individually. Do any board members wish to pull an item? Not seeing any, then I'll let Mr. Kruth give the recommendation.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. It's recommended that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the minutes. Oh, hold on. Vail School District. Thank you. I'm sorry, we're struggling with a new,
We have a new.
get this. That the governing board approve all items on the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Hold on, let me scroll. Actually, we'll move on to new business. Our first item is Director of Transportation job position. This is an action item, Mr. Kruth.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. Ms. Katie Debney.
Thank you, President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, and members of the board. Tonight, I'm very pleased and excited to bring forward the recommendation to appoint Harold Buddy James as Vail School District's next Director of Transportation. This recommendation comes after a thoughtful interview process that included voices from across the district. Our district leadership was included. We had school leadership, transportation leadership, and frontline transportation staff involved in this interview committee. The committee included Superintendent John Caruth, our current Director of Transportation, Jerry Brown, Transportation Supervisor, Shannon Hernandez, bus driver and CDL certifier, Jennifer Guerra, Principal Jason Campos, and myself. I want to note that the committee was unanimous in recommending Mr. James for this role. Professionally, Buddy brings over 27 years of senior leadership experience in large, complex public service organizations, most recently with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. In his most recent role as police chief, Buddy functioned as second in command of the department and held direct responsibility for fleet operations, logistics, procurement, human resources, and operational readiness. He oversaw a fleet of approximately 700 vehicles, managed multi-million-dollar budgets, and operated in a high accountability, high compliance environment. What stood out to the committee was Buddy's steady leadership style. He's calm, thoughtful, and clear in his decision-making. He understands the importance of safety, communication, and trust, and he values the people doing the work just as much as the work itself. Those qualities matter greatly in a large department like transportation that supports students and families in schools across our entire district every single day. Just as important as Buddy's professional background is his deep connection to Vail. Buddy has lived in the Corona-Dade-Tucson area for more than 20 years. His children have attended Vail schools. And as you know, his wife, Tori, is a current employee, has been an employee in Vail for 20 years and serves as the office manager at Sycamore Elementary School. Buddy knows Vail, not just as a leader, but as a parent, as a spouse, as a community member. He understands our culture, our values, and what makes our district special. Throughout the interview process, Buddy consistently expressed his genuine desire to give back to the community that he loves. He spoke about relationships, about doing right by kids and families, and honoring the trust our community places in us. He is simply a good person who aligns naturally with Vail's culture and expectations. The interview committee is confident that Buddy James is the right leader to guide our transportation department forward, continuing the strong work that has been done by Mr. Brown and his team, and keeping that in place while keeping kids safe, students, and safety first and foremost, and service at the center of everything he does. I'll turn it over to Mr.
Thank
Kruth
you,
to
Mrs.
read the
Dabney.
recommendation.
I'll go ahead and make the recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the appointment of Harold Buddy James to the position of Director of Transportation effective January 28th, 2026, as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion.
I'll motion.
Ms. Anderson.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. King. Comments or questions? No comments or questions? Ms. Anderson.
I'm going to make a comment. I just want to say thank you. We are so excited to have you. years ago. I was in your home probably after a soccer, game. And so it's been a lot of years since I've seen you, but I've been able to see your wife many times and watch your kids grow up. But we are just so excited and thank you for choosing to be here.
Thank you. I am really excited to get to know you. I don't know you well. But what I loved reading about and hearing Ms. Dabney say was just talking about your steady leadership and how much you value trust. And those things are super important to me. And I think in this department, just knowing that we can rely on somebody who has that steady leadership. And so thank you so much. I'm super excited. It was fun to read about you and to hear a little bit about your background. So congratulations. So if there's no other comments or questions, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Congratulations. So we usually will have you just maybe introduce who you brought with you, if you don't mind.
So I brought my wife Tori, who's been with the district for about 20 years. This is our son Holden and our daughter Michaela, who are both graduates from Dale. Both went to different high schools eventually, but they both went to Sycamore and then Corona right next door to Blue Dot.
Very good. Well, very nice to meet you. Thank you for coming and congratulations. Any other comments? No. All right, so we will move on to the next item. Also an exciting agenda item, Micah Mountain School Assistant Principal position, also an action item, Mr. Crew.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. Mr. Hurley.
Yes. President Pratt, members of the board, I am very proud and excited to bring you tonight Mr. Kyle Howell as recommendation for assistant principal at Micah Mountain High School for the 26-27 school year. I want to give a special thank you to our interview committee. We had a great time. Neemer Hassey, Jay Campos, Brady Matsushino, Adrian Ordaz, the student achievement teacher, Nancy Davis is a parent, and Mr. Chris King. We had a great time. Also a special shout out to Mrs. Forgus, and Mr. Campos never gets enough shout outs for hiring Mrs. Howell when they first moved to Tucson. So we got our hooks into the Howell family early. That was really good. That's important. Thank you, Jason. They moved from Kansas, and so it was great that their first job was right here and we got into them. Mr. Howell and I hit it off right away. We immediately recognized each other as people who had married well above our station. It's great. Until I found out what NFL football team he rooted for, but that's okay. Not everybody's perfect. We're working on him. He's trying. But on a serious note, I was Kyle's instructional teacher his first year at Micah Mountain. And he was great. He worked hard. He wanted to get better. He wanted to do those things. And the first day I observed him, I'll never forget, I came back to Micah Mountain that night and he was in the back in the snack bar making hamburgers. Like that defines Kyle. Kyle is all in. When he does something, he does it all in. That's who he is. I think it was a perfect example of what he does. He learned the importance of being on a team when he was a child. You can see in there, he lived in 10 different states, 5 different countries, taught him some really exciting things about how to deal with people from different cultures, how to deal with people from different viewpoints. He brought up in the interview, he's been the majority, he's been the minority, he's seen both sides of the thing. He's been the only kid that didn't speak a language. He's brought in kids that did speak languages. So he's really had some unique experiences that have shaped him to be who he is. The lessons he learned really did help him be a person that is so good and so focused on leadership. He's great at relationship building, hard work, brought up before, absolutely there. He's a lifelong learner, and team building are just things that are really, really going to serve him well in his next position. I'm excited about that. Previous to coming to Tucson, he was in the baseball world. You can see he lived and worked in lots of different positions in the baseball world. And when he came to Tucson, he became an educator, right? So he was an athletic director at a couple schools. He filled in, I guess it's pinch hitting, and had to coach a girls softball team one time and just decided to win the state championship because what the heck, if we're going to do it, we might as well do it right. So congratulations, that was fun. And after all of those things, he found what we loved, which was he said he found at home at Micah Mountain. He's like, this is home. I've been 15 different jobs in 16 different years. This is the last job I want to have, is right here. So we were really, really excited about that. He has been a teacher. He's been the baseball coach. He's been an assistant athletic director. He's been a dean of students. And I think this is just a great and logical next step. He and his family live in Vail, where his wife, Cassie, as I mentioned, she's an assistant to the principal at Acacia Elementary School. Their 3 kids attend schools here in Vail. In fact, they just got home from a cheerleading competition in Las Vegas. Like, so have you eaten dinner yet? Have we had, no dinner yet. So we're going to
be quick about this and then let them leave and eat dinner and put those kids to bed because there's school tomorrow. But they wanted to be here to support their dad, and that was really neat. So with that, Mr. Cruth.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. I'll go ahead and make the recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the appointment of Kyle Howell to the position of Assistant Principal at Micah Mountain High School effective July 1st, 2026 as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion.
And Ms. Tippett. Okay, so Mr. King and Ms. Tippett, comments or questions? Mr. King?
Welcome. It really was great sitting on the interview committee. And I don't think I picked up on the Kansas piece. So, but yeah, we did have that kind of shared background, 10 different schools and multiple countries and everything else. So it does kind of provide you a little bit different perspective. So I think you're going to do great here. I'm looking forward to seeing all you do. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. King. Ms. Tippett?
Yeah, Mr. Howell, I just really enjoyed learning more about you as part of this process, and I am really impressed at the admirable qualities that you demonstrated just in your short time here in Vail. And it sounds like this is a great next step for you and for us. So thank you to his children who are being amazing. You guys are adorable.
Yes, any other comments or questions, Ms. Anderson?
I just wanted to say thanks just real quick to both of you, because this is really a family thing too, because it's going to affect your whole family. But I think what I've loved anytime over at Micah and see you out, whether it's with staff or students, just the interaction you have and the connections that I can see you've made with them. And so we are just thrilled for you. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. When I saw the committee, I had no doubt that you guys had a good time, actually. A lot of fun. I did have to wonder if you guys got any work done, but it does sound like you did. So thank you so much for giving us more information about his background. Just reading about it just makes me super excited for the kids at Micah Mountain. So thank you for stepping up and being willing to take on this role. So super excited, Mr. Chris.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the Howell family. It's wonderful to have both of them and their children and watch them all grow here. So I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. All right, if there's no other comments or questions, then I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, motion carries. Congratulations. We'll invite you to do the same if you'd like. You can introduce who you brought with you and.
Sure. My wife Cassie is the assistant principal at Acacia. My son Cannon, co-star Chloe, Bill and Kelsey, and then my mother-in-law Martha is actually here in Texas. She was in Vegas.
Oh, very good. Where in Texas are you visiting from?
From El Paso.
El Paso, okay. Very good. Well, welcome and congratulations.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Do you think yes?
Yeah.
Wants to stand.
And you have to sit back down.
That they with just
Yeah.
their family first and then with all.
Yep, you come on
All
up.
right,
Yeah.
you want all of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need the break.
Yeah, that's.
You can stand it.
You get her back later.
Thank you, everybody. You're good. 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect.
Congratulations. Excited to you.
Where again? That family there.
I know, me too. I was like, what?
And Sundays.
Sir? I guess the question is now, where y'all going for dinner?
Yeah, that's true.
Can we come?
Whatever route leads.
Very good. Well, thanks for being here. All right, so we'll move on to our next item. We also have another exciting agenda item, our district licensed practical nurse job description and reclassification, also an action item. Mr. Crew.
Thank you, Mrs. Bates.
Thank you, President Pratt, Superintendent Kruth, and members of the board. Our team recently conducted a comprehensive internal review of our district student health department to evaluate operational efficiency, staffing alignment, and the department's capacity to provide safe, consistent, and high-quality health services to students across our district. As a result of this review, it was determined that there's a need to establish a new job classification, District Licensed Practical Nurse, or LPN. This position is necessary to meet the district's growing demand for health services that require a higher level of clinical care, provided by than are already currently provided by our health aides. The LPN role will support student health needs by delivering licensed nursing services within the scope of practice by enhancing overall service delivery and a continuity of care for our kids. It is recommended that the district licensed practical nurse position be classified as a professional year-round position at level 21, consistent with the required licensure responsibilities and the level of clinical expertise associated with the role. In addition to the establishment of the new job classification, we are requesting that Ms. Alicia Alanis, who was hired by the district on October 21st, 2021, and is currently serving as a district health aide, she's since obtained her licensed practical nurse credential and now meets all the qualifications necessary for the newly established role. We would like to recommend that she be placed into the new role as it is being recommended to establish.
Thank you. I just simply add, before I make the recommendation, fundamentally, we've just seen significant growth in the need for nursing services across the district. And this position, I just want to state, will help us with that need and Ms. Alanis's ability to pursue additional certification really it's good for her personally, but really it really serves a need for us as a district and with that additional expertise. And so I just want to draw those two things together. So thank you for providing the background. And with that, I'll go ahead and make a recommendation to the School District Governing Board approve the district licensed practical nurse job description and the reclassification of Ms. Alanis as presented.
You'll accept a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
So we have Mr. Bester and Ms. Anderson. Comments or questions? Oh, Ms. Tippett.
Okay, I think I have a lot of questions actually. So this is a recap classification of one individual in one position. Or is this opening a door to maybe additional individuals?
Questions?
Oh, good question. Short answer to the first part of your question is yes. Second part is possibly. And is there anything else to add to that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So what, yes, so you could provide more detail.
Sure. President Pratt, Superintendent Kruth, members of the board, Ms. Tippett, we currently have 3 district health aides. And those folks operate and help with training and sub-coverage across all of our different sites. What we're doing is we're taking one of those district health aide positions and suggesting or recommending tonight that we reclassify one of those as a licensed practical nurse. That position will allow her to provide more direct education than she is currently licensed to provide as a simple health aide. And so her, again, like Mr. Cruz said, pursuing that degree honors her commitment to her continuing education, but it also really helps our team to add that expertise to that group of people who are serving health aides and ensuring our health aides are equipped to do the job that they need to do directly with students every day.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Did you have, if you have some follow-up with it, I think it makes more sense to.
So this is a district-wide health aide position rather than like a school site health aide that is being transitioned into this. And so her skill set will be used throughout the district. Correct.
Okay. Thank you, President Pat. Ms. Tippett, yes, those 3 positions, as Mrs. Bates described, currently sit and support sites across the school district and the health aide positions. This is a reclassification of one of those positions to continue to do that, but provide a higher level and more direct training for all of the positions. And I just want to add, to fill into what might that look like in the future. Anytime we redo a job description like this, it opens the possibility of, hey, we have this available as a tool now if we need to add another position. And I think as we grow as a school district, and one of the things we're seeing is the complexity of medical needs, it may be something that's considered, especially as we move to a level of how are we providing support and training, really training health aides into the future, what might that look like? So that fundamentally, that's what this looks like.
Do you have any follow-up questions?
I think I'd just like to share that, I think in response to changing conditions, I'm happy to see this transition. And I'm a little curious about how that district review went. And if maybe we're still being a little timid with the response to the need. So I just wanted to share my concern around that and want to make sure that we are making sure that we have the people in place in the necessary places with the training that they need to ensure student safety essentially at sites. So just I think this move does provide us some flexibility, and I just wanted to understand exactly what that flexibility was. So thank you for letting me kind of dive into it. But it would also be really supportive of us maybe going a little further.
Mr. Buster, did you have a comment or question?
Yes, please. I understand the impactful piece of this, helping us with our medical needs. I'm looking at the training needs, and we've always been forward-leaning, forward-looking in regards to pathways. So does this give us additional influence, additional credibility when it comes to medical and health pathways?
Pathways specifically meaning like from the high school level?
Certifications, much like what we do at Andrada currently, partnership with maybe JTED, those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, President Pratt. Mr. Buster, just for clarification, are you referring, just because I want to make sure I understand the question, are you referring to expanding pathways for students or for supporting their students' medical needs, or for the adults and supporting medical needs?
More training, more the certification piece, not the actual medical, the actual training piece.
For students?
For students and or for those individuals that want to seek higher levels of certification within the district, professional certifications within the district.
Okay. Mrs. Bates.
President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, and members of the board, the addition of this position is not intended to provide further support for students in terms of advancement of their understanding, if I'm understanding your question correctly.
Yes.
That's not what this position will do. Her licensure allows her to provide education to our health aides at a level which she currently cannot. And so that professional development, along with Ms. Wissinger's leadership, will be more robust and allow for more people to be providing that level of expertise to our health aides as they serve kids on campuses. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions? Bob? No? Will you just clarify and remind us what kind of like the structure looks like for medical? So right now at each site, we have a health aide. Then we have district-wide, we have 3 health aides. I know that we have a district nurse who's an RN, right? Do we have other RNs that work, and kind of just, can you clarify what that looks like, Mr. Booth?
Thank you, members of the board. Ms. Bates.
President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, and members of the board, we actually made exactly what you're talking about, a little family tree for health services as we were doing the study for all this, just to kind of make sense of who was who and what kind of positions they were serving in. So you are correct. We do have a district nurse, Christy Wissinger leads that team and is an RN. And then we also have 2 other RNs who help to serve students who have special needs or health needs along with their IEPs. So we have 2 dedicated RNs who are in those positions. And then an additional RN, LPN, who operates just for the general population of students who have medical needs. And then underneath of that, we have the 3 district health aides, one with us recommending an LPN come out of that group. So we'll persist with just 2 district health aides. We will not be backfilling this position. And then below that, then we also have the about 37 health aides across the district who are dual supervised by principals at sites as well as Christy's team. And that's where that professional development and training comes in from Christy's team in partnership with principals.
Very helpful. Thank you so much. And so they're all under Christy's team, none of them are under the umbrella of special ed.
They,
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was thinking, so I was also thinking too.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, President Pratt, or Ms. Bates.
President Pratt, Superintendent Kruth, members of the board. Can you re-ask your question?
I can answer it for you.
Yeah.
So fundamental, that's why I was thinking. So fundamentally, Ms. Wissinger oversees she supervises and oversees all of the nursing staff and all of the health aides. Some of those positions are housed and or paid for, I think is a better way of saying it, out of the special education department, because our students with special needs have specific health needs, right? And so some of those staff are assigned specifically to students who have IEP have health services as a part of their IEP needs. But Ms. Wissinger, what she oversees is all of the staff that provide health services, from a school level health aide to the RN who is providing training and or direct services for tube feeding and those kinds of things. So that's what that looks like. There's a lot of if it were a Venn diagram, there'd be a lot of in between on those Venn diagrams, between what a school looks like, between what special education looks like within those schools, what nursing services looks like. So I think it's and a lot of shared responsibility, frankly, as Mrs. Bates mentioned. Principals and sites supervise and help oversee the health aide is a daily function, right? But Ms. Wissinger and her team make sure that there's somebody that's staffed there and that they are trained and what that looks like, and they provide them support. So it's a little bit like what Mr. Breen does with technology, frankly, with site technology coordinators. I mean, it's a shared position to carry out the function around technology at a school site. Not an exact, obviously not an exact parallel, but I mean, you think about kind of how things are overlap, what that Venn diagram of overlap looks like. That's really what that looks like. And what this item is, and frankly, to Ms. Wissinger's credit, she's come in and really helped us reorganize and restructure our nursing services and health aid services over the last couple of years, so that we're better in alignment. We're providing systematic training, all of those things. We're just much better than we were 3-4 years ago in this regard. And I think that also speaks to where Mrs. Tippett is coming from. We're continuing to evaluate what a need is and balance those needs with what we see as increasing medical needs for students. One of the things, and I know we've talked about that at the board table before, is we have seen a significant increase in the number of students that we support with type 1 diabetes in particular. Yeah, it's just an exponential increase. And so, especially young children, and managing diabetes is challenging. So that's kind of how all that works together. I would love to say it's like clean, but it's not clean. I mean, it's appropriately overlapped so that the responsibility of the student and their health needs are taken care of.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's really what we want to see. I guess I wanted to make sure, that there wasn't like an RN that was kind of in a silo with special ed, that they are really, like you were saying, pretty much kind of this Venn diagram on top of each other. So I think that's wonderful. Thank you. I know this went a little further into this, but it was very helpful. Any other comments or questions? Okay, and then if not, then we do have a motion on the table, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Bates. Our next item is anonymous reporting. And this is a study item, Mr. Griff.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board, Ms. Dabney, and Ms. Stowe.
Up here. Thank you, President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, and members of the board. Kind of an exciting new program we're going to share with you tonight, and just kind of what that is and some of the different aspects of that. As you know, for many years, we've had a Safe Schools hotline in Vail. It's a phone number that parents can call, that students can call, if they need to report a concern or they have a tip, a safety related tip that they would like to share. And so we have used that for many, many years. We have seen over the last couple of years that our Safe Schools hotline just isn't as effective as we need it to be. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how we found that to be the case. But we wanted to look at what we could do differently, how we could strengthen that. And so there's a group of us, Heather Stowe, Mark Breen, Jerry Brown, and we got a committee together to just talk about our current system and to look at another system that had some really great potential to strengthen our safety framework. And so we're talking about an anonymous reporting system. And we got this committee together. There's about 30 members of the committee, and it's a really diverse committee. We've got parents that are site council members. We've got parents that are just involved in kind of the safety aspect of what we do in our schools and really interested in safety and wanting to continue to just strengthen our safety framework. We have some counselors that are on this committee. We've got school principals. We have some APs. So it's a really, really great committee. We've had one meeting so far, just kind of introduce this topic and to get some feedback from the committee and where they would like us to go with it. So really the purpose was to talk about our current system, talk about some potential options for a better system in our opinion and what that could look like, and then get feedback and input from our committee on how they would like us to move forward. And so one thing we found as we've gone through this process, and we'll talk a little bit more about this too, is that anytime you're talking school safety, with a group of parents that get really passionate about that topic. It's an important topic, or we all care about the safety of our children. And so it was a really great conversation. And the overall takeaway is that our parents, we felt very strongly that they were sending the message that we were moving in the right direction. So we started off the meeting by kind of talking about our safety framework as it is now, where we could see some areas for improvement, a potential option for that improvement, and then what their feedback was on that. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Stout to talk about our current model. As you know, some of this is going to be repetitive information that you've seen, but it was really great to hear the feedback from our committee members, because for some of them, it was the first time they've heard it explained in the way that we did.
This would should not have you guys share a microphone.
Good evening, President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, members of the board. As Mrs. Dabney shared, this is something that you've seen before, but it was really powerful to bring it to the community meeting. And it's just our three-legged stool approach to safety. And as you remember, there's three legs to that stool, the first one being physical safety. Those efforts are overseen by Mark Breen. And as was shared with you in previous study sessions, those efforts include things like security awareness training, malware protection, multiple firewalls, and multi-factor authentication. If you have any questions about those things, I'm going to phone Mr. Mark Breen over in the and then so that's our cybersecurity. Oops, that was cybersecurity. Physical safety is overseen by, of course, Jerry Brown. Those are things like secure campuses, visible supervision, emergency plans and drills, and then those well-maintained campuses. And then myself and my team helped us oversee psychological safety, and that's really grounded in the foundations of safety in our schools, which is based on trusted adults and relationships. And we look at those through our student and staff surveys every year. Mrs. Dabney will go a little bit into some of that data that we've seen from last year. Also, our PBIS efforts, just providing those positive cultures and climates in our schools that are grounded in relationships, but also providing those tiered supports when our students do need extra skills or links to mental health supports. And lastly, just living out our ACT statement. And when we look at that, we just look at it as our Swiss cheese model, that it's really that multi-layered approach that provides that best line of defense. So when we're doing psychological safety, cybersecurity, and physical security well, then that is simply the best environment for students. Mr. Carney and I had brought this to you all a few years ago. It's a safety framework that we created about 4 years ago, and we've been working to implement all of these pieces. And Tier 1, just as a reminder, affects every single student on campus. And that first piece is anonymous reporting. What we're bringing to the committee and to all of you today is just an update to our basic Safety Schools hotline and something that we're looking at adopting through Sandy Hook Promise. The next piece is question, persuade, respond. This is a holistic approach to safety. So we also have our suicide prevention efforts in there. That's our QPR training. We've been doing that for multiple years now. It's given to every staff member, all of our high school students during new teacher induction. And we also do community trainings. And that's really helping everyone to understand the warning signs when it comes to suicide, and then how to get help for a person who may be contemplating suicide. When we look at Tier 2, we have CSTAG. There's lots of acronyms in this, in our safety framework. That stands for Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guidelines. A few years ago, a team from every single one of our sites was trained in this. And it's really, when there is a threat brought to a campus, it's a process in which they're looking through a series of interviews with students, parents, and staff on whether the threat that is brought forth is a viable threat, and then the ways that we can deal with that on our campuses or bring law enforcement into place. And then we also have ASSIST, which is Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. And that's our next level. So our QPR trainers on our campuses know that if there is someone who is contemplating suicide and they've had that conversation, we have at least 3 to 4 ASSIST trained folks on every campus. That can be a principal, assistant principal, or counselor. They are able to do a suicide risk assessment and then build a safety plan. And then lastly, at Tier 3, if we have viable threats or any thoughts of suicide that need that next level support, referral to community resources is at that Tier 3 level, as well as if it's a threat to campus law enforcement. And when I look at those referrals to community resources, I think a lot of Care Solace. It's been such an incredible resource for us to be able to get mental health support in a timely and local manner to our students and our families. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Dabney to share just a little bit more about that student survey data.
Okay, this mic is going to get a workout today. Here we go. So you've seen this data before. There's a lot in our student survey that I think we can be really, really proud of. There's also some areas that we can improve upon. And as we looked at our student data, this is some of the information that really kind of stood out to us as we can improve upon this. We can do a better job with this. So this is specifically our middle school and high school. For the anonymous reporting tool, we were looking at rolling that out if our committee recommends that's the direction we go, and then we bring that to you for approval. But we'd be looking to roll that out at the middle school and high school level, and then eventually looking to see if there's something that we can do for K-5 down the road. But within our survey data, when we look at the question, I feel safe at school or on my way to or from school, you can see the results there. We definitely have some work we can do to improve in those areas. The second question that stood out to us is an area that we can continue to focus on is my school handles safety issues well. And then the last, I have a trusted adult that we can go or I can go to for support. At the middle school, that was a 76% of students feel that way. At the high school, it was 82%. We know nationally, the average of that is about 61%. So we're much better than the national average, but there's still a lot of improvement that we can make in that area. So as we look at those, if that information, start thinking, okay, what can we do better? How can we help kids feel safe at school or on their way to school? What can we do if a student feels like they don't have a trusted adult? What does that look like? Who can they reach out to? What are some things we can put in place to help address some of those issues? So what we did with our committee is we shared our kind of our basic safety framework. We shared this data, and then we asked for their feedback. And this is the feedback that our committee gave us. Is overall, our committee felt that safety is a priority for Vail. You know, during the Joint Site Council meeting, safety comes up every year. With the frameworks that we have in place, it's a priority, and our committee felt that, and they understood that. They felt that there was a lot of, especially around the cybersecurity aspect, a lot of things that we're doing that they didn't even know that we were doing, and they were really impressed with that and really happy to hear that. There was also conversation that there's differences in how students perceive feeling safe at school, and that we need to continue to promote the things that we're doing, but also broaden that. Some of the areas that our committee shares that, yeah, these are things that you can continue to focus on, is often when we think of safety, what is thought of first is that physical security, gates, how we have visitors checking in, checking out, the physical safety aspects of seeing an SRO on a campus and those sort of things, where there's so much more to safety. And we know the psychological safety piece, the relationships that we have with our students, when our students have a trusted adult that they can go to, is the single most important thing that we can do, making sure that we continue to share that information. Because there was a feeling that some of our committee members weren't aware of some of those pieces that we're already doing. So continuing to talk about that. It was very clear with our committee that our Safe Schools hotline is not utilized. Many in our committee did not even know that we had a Safe Schools hotline. Even though we have it on our websites, we have it on all of our school websites. It's something that's advertised frequently. Several committee members didn't know that we had a Safe Schools hotline. And we also see that with the calls that we get. Often the calls that we get on the Safe Schools hotline are, general questions. I need to talk to somebody in transportation. And so it's not really safety related issues. And when it is a safety related issue, we don't get the details often that we need to be able to proceed with the action that we need to take. So there was definite conversation around that. And then the other piece, that we have a strong foundation, just ensuring that consistency as we implement our safety practices. So it was good feedback from what we're currently doing. So when we talked about why we're exploring an anonymous reporting system, it was very clear that our current system has some things that need to be addressed. We know through research that a strong anonymous reporting system is a cornerstone to a comprehensive safety framework. And that is something that we know we can do a little bit better on. Studies also show that students are hesitant to report threats if they believe that that report is going to come back to them in any way. What I shared with the committee, and I don't like using this word, I think it's a horrible word, but students will say things like, I don't want to be a snitch. And we work really hard to build positive relationships with kids so they know that they can talk to a trusted adult. But if they have that fear, then going to a trusted adult is really, really difficult. So do we have an avenue if a student feels like they're crossing that line, they know they need to tell us something, but they just don't know how to go about doing that. We also know that an ARS needs to be timely, and there needs to be a coordinated response. Our system now doesn't necessarily address those two issues, and we know it also a good anonymous reporting system strengthens prevention, and it does increase that student's feeling of being safe. So some areas that we can look at. It's why it's important. I'm going to have Heather talk a little bit about our current hotline and some of the things that we've seen over the years. It's another reason why we're bringing this before you today.
President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, members of the board. These are just outlining some of the key components on why we feel like we need to update our current Safe Schools hotline. The first one, it's not a preferred method for students. Our students don't make a lot of phone calls these days, and they surely do not leave a lot of voicemails. So it's just not meeting them where they currently are and their mode of communication. In that sense, it's not user-friendly. There's no filtering. We'll talk a little bit in a second about what Sandy Hook Promise Anonymous Reporting System is able to offer, and they have a very intricate filtering system with their national counselor hotline that they use. And then it's just not meeting our current safety realities. Safety in schools has changed drastically since the Safe Schools hotline was put into place. And so we just feel like it's time to update it to meet those current realities. And so when we look at Sandy Hook Promise, Christina Garza from Sandy Hook came to our meeting 2 weeks ago, and she spent about 20 to 30 minutes with the community group, really explaining who Sandy Hook is and what they are able to provide and how they're able to partner with the district. And these are just some of the points that she shared. It's a very evidence and research-based anonymous reporting system. It's of absolutely no cost to the district. It filters those non-safety tips. So it goes into the national crisis hotline, all of those tips, and which is monitored 24/7, 365 days a year. They are all licensed counselors in which they're calling, and they are able to quickly build rapport with whoever is calling or texting or utilizing the app and sharing the threat. And then they are able to triage that to find out if it is a legitimate threat. So that is that filter piece that they're able to provide. If it is a legitimate threat, they are in instant contact. I think they can know within 3 to 5 seconds if it's a legitimate threat. And then they are able to reach out to administration team, either at the district or the site level, to be able to provide that information and then work in conjunction with the district or site level team to be able to address the threat. Like I said, it's age appropriate. It's meeting our kids where they are in the communication mode in which they use every day. Another interesting piece is that after we had already initiated sort of this exploration with Sandy Hook Promise, we found out that the state through ADE is also pursuing a partner with Sandy Hook Anonymous Reporting System. So it's following a statewide trend. And currently there are 65 districts in one county that ADE is looking to partner with to also link them to the Sandy Hook Anonymous Reporting System. When we ended the meeting, we just asked for some committee feedback regarding where they landed at the end of the meeting. What are their thoughts on Sandy Hook Promise? And I think this was the most encouraging piece of the meeting. Is you'll see it was unanimous support just after the hour and a half that we spent with them. Things like, this is a great option to protect our kids. I am for this 100%. Incredibly excited that the district is taking action to modernize the safety program in the district. Excellent resources. It's good that it allows people to make reports via text, phone, email, or the app. And then I hope this will take some of the burden off teachers to assess warning signs. So without a shadow of a doubt, they gave us in that first meeting their stamp of approval, and we look forward to Thursday in our second meeting where they had a few questions, so we created an FAQ for them, which we'll go over at the beginning of the meeting. The core 45 minutes of the meeting, Christina Garza is driving back down from Phoenix, from Sandy Hook. She's been an incredible partner with just meeting us where we are. And she'll actually provide a demonstration to the committee so they can see from start to finish what submitting a tip looks like and then what that response looks like from the National Crisis Hotline. And then we'll close the meeting asking for their recommendation. And then based on that, we would come back to you. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Dabney regarding next steps and any questions you may have.
All right, I think you covered the next steps pretty well. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna break this thing. So we have one more meeting and our committee will get to see a live drive. And then we're gonna ask them if they would like us to pursue this. And if we get that vote of confidence, then we will bring that before you. So that's really the next steps. Questions, any thoughts as just this new system?
Thank you, Mrs. Dabney. This is just a note, this study item.
Any comments or questions, Mr. Buster?
As far as the Sandy Hook Promise, now they're available 24/7, 366. Who would be, once they gain any kind of lead and they have to provide it to the district, is that instantaneous? And if it is, who are the POCs for the Vail Unified School District that would take those calls or responses 24/7?
Thank you, President Pratt. Mrs. Dabney?
Yes, thank you, President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, members of the board, Mr. Buster. That's a great question. So the way the process works is each school will have an administrative school team that the principal will designate. It could be the principal, the assistant principal, a counselor, and when a tip comes in, if it is a school level type of tip, then that information is text to that school team. We can put parameters on how we want that to be structured. We can say we don't want any text coming from Sandy Hook Promise between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. We can say text at any time. We can put parameters around that. There's also a district level team that would be determined for more serious tips. As those would come in, the Sandy Hook crisis counselors would make a determination if this is something that needs to be directed to law enforcement immediately. If that determination is made, they will automatically contact law enforcement. And then they will also notify the district team and the school team that action was made. And then we would have the information of the tip that we could also follow up with. So we have control over each school's team, and we have control over the district team. The wonderful thing about this process is it's live. And so if there is a tip that comes in that is a credible threat, there is a live person that's taking that tip that can get information, that can ask clarifying questions, and then get the appropriate individuals involved.
Please. And on our side, on the Vail Unified School District side, as far as the district team, school team, would Sandy Hook be providing the training for those responses? And once that training's received, is that just an initial and done? Or is it periodic training on a regular, consistent basis?
Mrs. Dabney? Mrs. Dabney?
We're going to take this.
Because
President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, members of the board, Sandy Hook does provide training. They provide a specific training with at least 5 modules for all staff that will be on the site-based team and the district-based team. Along with that, which we didn't mention, there's also a training for community members and students, which is a 30-minute video that if they recommend, we'll also be bringing to you to be able to custom tailor to the Vail School District. It is not a one and done training as well. It will be ongoing training and refresher training as we bring new staff onto the team, and just as a reminder at the beginning of each school year.
Excellent, thank you.
Ms. Anderson.
I had a couple questions. First, you said that she was out of Phoenix area. So is this like a local, state, something happening here? Is it national? Then I have another question. Okay.
Mrs. Dabney, Mrs. Dabney?
President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, members of the board. Christina Garza is our state representative for Sandy Hook Promise. They are a national organization.
Okay, that's right. And then is this like a text? Is this like an online chat where they're, because you said, I guess that's what I'm wondering, what it actual, because I feel like you gave us a lot of information, but not actually what it looks like, I guess, for using it. That's what I.
President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, members of the board, yes, it is live. So they can text through the app. They can text through a number and they'll have a response in about 3 seconds. And then it is a live chat with a trained counselor through their national crisis hotline.
And they also call.
They may also call. So there's multiple modalities, whatever their comfort level of communication is, it's available, and it's not just for students, community members and parents can call in as well.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Mr. Booth?
One of the big barriers that we were concerned about is that anonymous piece. How does this program communicate that secure communication, I guess you should say? How do we share that message, and how does it secure the person's trust that it would then be anonymous?
And is your question specifically, how do they know that it's anonymous, or how do we ensure anonymity?
Yes, how do the people using it, or how are they ensured anonymity?
Anonymity, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Downs, Debbie.
President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, members of the board, they will actually provide robust marketing materials for us so that we can share that clear message that it is truly anonymous, and they'll come alongside us and help them. So a lot of it is in the marketing and how we share that, through our social media, through presentations to parents, specifically our middle school and high school parents, that we assure that it is anonymous. So I think we'll just have to clearly communicate that out of the gate in our marketing when we roll it out in July of this coming school year.
And if I can just add to that as well, in the training that students receive, it talks about the anonymous piece. And the tipster doesn't have to provide their name. Now, part of what the operators do when they answer those calls or those texts is to build rapport so that we can get to a point where that tipster feels comfortable sharing more information. However, it's never required. So, and that's shared when those calls and those tips come in.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions? Are you good? Okay. Ms. Anderson?
I guess I'm still trying to figure out how it is anonymous. Like, how do we guarantee that it's anonymous for those? I mean, I get we can market it, but like, what does that look like? I guess is what I'm trying to.
And you're meaning like the technology piece, like how do we ensure?
Yeah, the people.
President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, members of the board, Sandy Hook never collects any data from their own end on phone numbers or any pieces on that end. We can also make sure on Thursday that we get some very clear responses from them on that piece. It's not something that I have any more information that I've shared tonight, but we can absolutely get more of that for that specific question so we can answer that very clearly for you, and then we can share that with you. All of you are also we'd love to have you on Thursday. It's 5:30 to 7 here in this room. If you'd truly like to see the demonstration and meet Christina and, even be able to ask some of these questions in person, she's lovely and would love to connect with any of you, but that would give you that real life. I mean, she's actually going to get on it and be able to show what that looks like in interaction with the crisis hotline. It can speak more from their end on how they keep that truly anonymous so that we can communicate that clear message to our students and staff and community.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, you got a question, I think?
Yeah, I thought, I was gonna say, this sounds like it might be something similar to 88 crime and that anonymity piece and everything else. The question I have, doing a quick search on the Sandy Hook promise piece, is this only and it was just cursory, so correct me if I'm wrong, this looks like it was only focusing on one form of violence. Is this something that is actually more robust in that piece, or is this just focusing on one aspect of violent activity?
Thank you. Pat. Stow or Stabby.
Yes, thank you, President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, Mr. King. So it is a tip. Anybody can call for any sort of tip. And it's not just one specific type of threat that can be reported. It could be, my friend has shared thoughts of suicide. I don't know who to talk to. It can be a tip like that. It can be a tip of, I'm concerned about someone bringing a weapon to my school. It can be a tip like that. So it really, there's not parameters on why a tipster can call. The great thing about the program is that the crisis counselors that receive those tips triage them in real time. And the number that Ms. Garza gave us in terms of fake calls was about 4%, so it's really low. And the reason for that is there is a robust training to kids of this is why you would use Sandy Hook Promise anonymous reporting system. There's training on that really explains the why behind it so that kids understand it. Do calls come in that probably are not something we need to act on? Yes, but it's a pretty low number.
To put that in perspective, what we have now in our tip line is we'll get sales calls on there. We'll get we'll get a sales call next to somebody saying, I think I saw something online I have concern about. And we don't have any ability to follow up with that. So we may get that that comes to a group of us and they get that at 10 o'clock at night. I can get that out to the principal, but we can't do immediate follow-up with the person. We don't have that interaction. So this would allow us to do that.
Yeah, the follow-up is, thank you for explaining that. The concern I have would be somebody using it maliciously and utilizing it for like a swatting incident, on somebody they don't like, on a teacher, staff member, somebody that they have an issue with. And that would be the concern I would have with this.
Mr. Buster, did you have a question?
Yes, more so in regards to, I know we had this conversation at the recent Department of Education Summit. And I think as Arizona, not the nation, but as Arizona, we're really trying to define the SSO, the SRO roles within the schools. And so I say this as far as critical action tips that might lead them to go to law enforcement. There are others that will come directly to the schools or the site leaders. But as far as the SRO role, who are we dependent upon to have that conversation with the SRO? Is it law enforcement, or is it our team, or is it a little bit of both?
I'm just so I can define the question. So who has the initial conversation with the school resource officer?
Right.
Okay, just clarified. Stabby?
Yeah, President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, Mr. Buster. That's a good question. Right now, those typically go through, there's a couple different channels it could go through. It could go through Jerry Brown directly as the director of safety. Oftentimes when there's a concern or a tip that comes in that needs to be addressed, if the principal receives that information, they would contact Jerry and then Jerry would work with law enforcement. If it's not a 911 situation, if it's a 911 situation, whoever receives that information would make that determination. So it's often Mr. Brown. It could also be the principal that has direct contact with the SRO. It really just kind of depends on the situation. We do have multiple groups. We have a safety team. So there's multiple people that receive our Safe Schools hotline recording. So there's a group of us that are on that can respond. But for communication to SROs, typically the school principal or Mr. Brown. Or also we have Mark Molina, who is our safety coordinator. He's also involved. And then Matt Beam as well. So we've got a group.
Perfect, thank you. I just want to make sure we had that latitude and it wasn't so regimentedly structured that maybe they would not get the message.
Situational dependent.
Excellent, thank you.
Ms. Anderson, did you? No? Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay. This is a study item, so I believe that we will be talking about this again. So thank you, appreciate it. Our next agenda item is the high school choice update. This is an informed item, Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. We're in the high school choice window timeframe, and while the portal isn't open until next week, just ask Ms. Dabney to kind of give a quick overview of where we are, maybe hearing about it, especially if you have friends or an eighth grader or you have friends who have eighth graders. So I just wanted to tell you where we are at this point. I know we've talked about a lot of changes with kind of the boundary pieces around that. So just give us an opportunity to talk about high school choice, and then once that process is under or nearing completion, we'll do a final thing. Stabby.
Thank you, President Pratt, Mr. Kruth, members of the board. This is an exciting time for families. I know most of you have gone through this process as a parent. I have too, although it's been a while, but this is definitely an exciting time. So just a brief overview of our high school choice process. And as you know, with attendance boundaries for our large comprehensive high schools, there's probably some questions about that. We've had really great feedback around that issue specifically at our open houses. So just some general information so that you're aware. With high school choice, it is always our practice to provide as much communication to 8th grade families as we possibly can. So we talk about that communication being early, often, in a variety of ways, and we really try to do that. So for the past, gosh, it's been since December, I want to say the middle of December, we have sent weekly emails to all of our 8th grade parents that have a future freshman with just updates on what to expect through high school choice, upcoming things they need to be aware of, how the high school choice process works. There's a weekly email that goes out to all of our 8th grade families. We also have a high school choice website that I'm sure that you've all seen that's updated with relevant information that families can go explore. I'm going to go ahead and just show you what that looks like. So our high school choice website has the steps on how high school choice works, what high school choice is. There's a message from Mr. Caruth. We have all of the different high schools and information about each of those high schools so that parents can go and explore and read through that information. We have our important dates, so the timeline of how high school choice works. And then if a parent has missed an email and they need to see the email that was sent to a family, they can click on that and get all of that information. And then also the transportation information. And of course, our enrollment concierge, Amy Castle, who's an incredible resource to parents, is available. So that's updated very early in November of every year. So as soon as high school choice starts, parents can kind of jump in there and see what's going on. We're going to be sending out, as we get into high school choice, just some social media posts that high school, the portal's open. Make sure you check it out. Here's the website you can go to if you have questions. And then, of course, Amy Castle's support. So lots of communication that we get out to families in regards to high school choice. On the enrollment side, just some information so that you're aware. We have our January 27 enrollment projections ready to go. So you can see how that's broken down by each high school. And then we also have the expected freshman class for each high school. So at Andrada, we're looking at expected projection of 250 students. At Cienega, 470. At Empire, 235. At Micah, 330. At Vale Academy, we're looking at 45 freshmen. And then the Vic, we're looking at about 15 freshmen. So that's kind of the numbers where we are now, just that general information. In terms of the high school process, just have it broken down for you in steps so you can see exactly what parents are experiencing as they go through this process with their 8th graders. So the first step, as you know, is our high school open houses. They're a lot of fun. Most of those have occurred already. Andrada has their open house tonight, and then Vale Academy has theirs on Thursday. Vic is doing individual tours for all of their incoming freshmen just because they're so small, just makes it a little more intimate. But that's the first step. And we always tell families, go to the open houses because you never really know how a school's going to feel for you until you walk on that campus and you experience that. You may have an idea in your mind you want to go to a certain school, but then you go to an open house and whoa, that might be, something that really surprised you because you really love it and you weren't expecting that. So always encourage families to try to go to the many open houses as they can, because that's how kids really get a sense for the school and what it feels like and the opportunities available to them and the different clubs and all of the really fun stuff. So that's step one. That's where we're at right now. Step two is the high school selection process. And that's where families go into the portal and they pick their top 3 choices. And I'm really excited because our portal opens on February 2nd this year and runs through February 16th, but we have a brand new updated portal and it's really good. So I'm going to give you a live drive of what that portal looks like. I'm pretending that I am Kelly Pinkerton. Thank you, Mrs. Pinkerton. And my child, Tristan, who's an 8th grader, is going to high school. So when a parent logs in, they use their Power School login information in the portal. Now, Mrs. Pinkerton has already gone in and played a little bit with the system because we are doing some tests with it. If you've already gone through and made selections, the great thing about this portal is when that parent logs in again, because we know that parents and kids will sometimes go in and change their choices multiple times, they have a dashboard. And that dashboard shows them what their current choices are, which is a really beautiful thing. If they haven't logged in yet, the first time they log in, they're going to go through some questions. They're really kind of easy, basic questions. It gives us the information we need to be able to know if it's a staff member, to know if that student has a sibling, because there are enrollment rules around the sibling piece. The beautiful thing with this new portal is if you have a sibling, because we're pulling the information from Power School, if there is a sibling that is connected to your 8th grader, then that information will also be pulled in automatically, and it will list the name of the sibling and the grade level that they're in and their current school. So it's a beautiful thing. It's automatically done. What I also love about this portal, so I filled out all the questions. I'm going to go to start selecting schools. What's really neat is if you look at the top of the portal, there's all of the different high schools. Something new that's added is if you click on the school, it will give you a little blurb about Entrada. If I want to, I don't know that much about Entrada. If I want to go check out the school website, I've got a link right here. I'm going to go check it out. There's Entrada. Oh, why Entrada? Well, there's one. Check this out. So that's it, the parent's fingertip. The other thing that's kind of cool about this, if they just want to see just some basic details about Entrada, they can click on that link and there's a little 1-pager information sheet that gives parents some quick information about Entrada specifically. So that's something that's new. We have that for all of our high schools. And then I'm going to go through and make my top 3 choices. One of the things that we wanted to make sure of with attendance boundaries around our 2 large comprehensive high schools is that we didn't have confusion on what that would look like for parents. So we have attendance boundaries for Cienega and Micah Mountain. If I live in the Cienega attendance boundaries and Cienega is my first choice, if Cienega is my first choice, I click it, nothing pops up. If I live in Cienega's attendance boundaries, but I'm interested in Micah Mountain for my child, if I click Micah Mountain is my top choice, I get this little kind of warning that I'm outside of the Micah Mountain. I can still choose it, but I'm outside of the Micah Mountain attendance boundary, and that there may be a lottery for placement if there's space available. So it just gives parents that little bit of information that this isn't a guarantee. I'm not in this attendance boundary, but I can still choose Micah as an option. This only applies to our 2 large comprehensive high schools that have attendance boundaries. And what's neat about this is, again, because this is connected to Power School, the system automatically pulls the Power School address. And that's how it knows whether or not you're in Micah Mountain's attendance boundary or if you're in Cienega's attendance boundary. We just didn't want parents to be able to go through and make selections and then be confused with, I chose Micah, but I didn't even have an option to go there, and why. And so we just wanted it to be as clear and easy as possible. So the new portal has that built into it. Of course, all of our other high schools, there's not attendance boundaries associated, and so the choices would look like normal. So you go through, make your 3 top choices, you would submit it. It will reorder the latest submission. So anytime I were to log in and look at Tristan's selections, I can see what the current selections are. And then I can also send a confirmation email to myself so that I can make sure that I have that information if I need another way of keeping that at the top of my mind. So that's the new portal. We're so excited. We think it's really easy. It's super intuitive. It's connected beautifully to Power School. Mr. Breen was just instrumental in getting that done. It was a pretty fast turnaround from the time that the board approved attendance boundaries to getting this built and having it ready for high school choice. So a lot of work behind the scenes there, but really excited about that. So that's step 2. You go through, you make your selections. Step 3, this is only if needed. So if lotteries are needed, they will be held on March 4th. Every family that is included in the lottery, if a school is beyond that freshman capacity, every family that would be included is notified by Amy Castle via email. And then lotteries are held via Zoom, and parents are welcome to attend and watch that happen live. So if lotteries are needed, they'll happen on March 4th. If they're not needed, then that's just a step that we skip. And then step 4 is families are informed of those placements. This year, that will happen on March 6th. Every family will receive an email with their child's placement by 5 p.m. on March 6th. And so that's really the process in a nutshell. Really excited about some of the improvements there. Otherwise, the steps remain pretty consistent as they have the last many years.
Thanks, Gabby.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to provide you an overview since we've had a few updates and changes since last year.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Are there comments or questions, Mr. Bester?
We gave you a really rough task. You knocked it out of the park. Thank you, all of you. That is outstanding. Easy for parents, easy for students. Anybody that goes on there gets a wealth of information and they can make a distinct choice and they know what their options are. They know what the process is. Outstanding.
Team effort.
Yes, I agree. Other comments or questions? No. I couldn't say it better than Mr. Bester. I completely agree. Thank you so much to Mr. Breen, the technology team, to Ms. Dabney and your team. I have to admit that when you said to communicate early, often, in a variety of ways, yes. I heard that in Mr. Carney's voice. Anyway, I cannot say enough good things, and thank you for doing that live drive with us for the portal, and thank you, Ms. Pinkerton, for your login. I just think one of the things that I had angst over was the communication. Were we clear? And in the communication, people really understood. This leaves no question. Everything is very clear on expectations. So thank you for your work on that. And your thought, just thinking about all the things, all the ways to be able to communicate. I've also been reading the emails that have come through to staff and to parents, just reiterating, what this looks like and what it looks like also to staff particularly. I also appreciate, I know this is a staff login, and so that still came up even with the staff login. So anyway, thank you again for all your work on this. I'm excited to see kind of where everybody chooses. I think it's such an exciting time. Anyway, just we have such good schools and such great choices. So thank you for your work on this. Any other comments or questions before we move on? Thank you, Ms. Dabney. Our next item is the revised 2026-27 revised student and staff calendars. This is a study item, Mr. Group.
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. You approved these calendars last year, but we were in making some suggested changes for the 27-28 calendars. We felt that it would probably be good to make those associated in 26-27 next year's calendars as well. Ms. Pinkerton helped, along with Mrs. Peterson, help kind of lead the group that are suggesting these revisions. So asking Mrs. Pinkerton to walk us through those changes, Ms. Pinkerton.
Absolutely. Thank you, President Pratt, Mr. Caruth, members of the board. And I have to say, my kid is really worried that we're changing his choices all the time. And like, how many times is there a limit? And I said to him, don't worry, we'll figure it out. Just like Mr. Caruth said.
Benson High School wasn't his choice.
No.
It is now.
Now, yes, he's actually very worried that he's not going to get his first choice based on all of our messing around. It's okay. I just texted him, good night, go to bed, you're fine. All All right, calendars. So like Mr. Caruth said, we formed a group of a large committee together to study the 27-28 calendars to decide what those needed to look like. Though the committee members consist of some district office staff, principals, assistant principals, office managers, people from HR, just all kinds of people just to give their input on what those calendars need to look like. So as we are studying 27-28 calendars, we came up with some recommendations. You'll see those in a few minutes, but what happened is as we were talking about those recommendations, people said, well, it makes sense to do those for 26-27, right? After talking with principals, they all agreed. So what we're bringing to you tonight as a study item is to look at the 26-27 calendar first. And there are three kind of main changes that we want to look at. One of those is, if you think back, those of you who either have high school students right now or have had high school students, end of the semesters typically have 3 days of half days for final exams. So the last 3 days of the semester in December and in May. What we are suggesting is to make those 2 half days at the end of each semester rather than 3. Finals kind of look a little bit different right now in high school. What it looks like right now is you would have 2 finals on each of those 3 days. Our proposed revision is to make that 3 finals on each of those 2 days, if that teacher indeed has a final exam. Right now, it's like 2 hours for each of the final exams. We don't always use all of that time. So our proposed revision is to make those 3 days into 2 days. So 2 less half days for high school students. And then we're gonna use option number 2 and number 3 to kind of repurpose those half days. So the second revision is to add an additional half day for K-12, all of K-12 in August. We currently have an August half day. We're asking for 2 August half days. What that does is it kind of allows us to give sites a little autonomy for professional development, kind of level setting everyone at the beginning of the school year. We have new teachers that come in at the beginning of the school year and everybody jumps in and we get started and we need some time to look at what each individual site needs. So those would be 2 site half days in August. So currently we have 1. We would like to take one of those half days from finals, move it into August and make that a K-12 half day. So that's number 2. The third one is a half day in May. We currently have a high school half day in May. It is usually the first Friday of May. The original purpose of that was for senior exit project. That's kind of changed over the years. I think Empire really uses it for senior exit projects and the other high schools use it for other various things. But right now, and if you look at the 26-27 calendar, there's this crazy thing that happens every once in a while where Good Friday falls during the spring break. So during our March break is Good Friday. There are no half days for 10 full weeks of school right after spring break. So our proposal is to take that half day in May, move it to Wednesday, because most of our district half days are on Wednesdays. So to just kind of fall in line with that, keep that consistent, move it to Wednesday, make it a quick K-12 half day. Our K-8 sites need some time to be able to do class placements, do some end of the year wrap up pieces. And right now they try to work it all in right after school or during plan times. And it would be really helpful to have that time to be able to kind of finalize things for the next school year. So again, 3 proposals for 26-27, 1 less half day for high school finals in December and May, 1 additional half day in August for K-12, repurposing that May half day that's a high school one, making that a K-12 half day in May.
So just thank you, Ms. Pinkerton. All other, from a parent standpoint, all other start-stop times and everything else remain the same. It's really repurposing days around that. And thank you for the explanation. Hold all that thought as you ask the questions around that, because that theme carries forward in the next calendars. With that, happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
I don't like it. I guess I need to know why, because from a principal standpoint, as a high school parent, having those half days are really important in my home. My kids take 0 hour through 6. So those days where there's 3 means my kids are going to have 4. now finals on one of those days. And those 3 days are tough. Having those 3 half days have been really important for my kids to take the times to study and to be able to focus on those 2 classes. I know sometimes maybe one was already done or they don't have one because it's already, they wrote a paper this, but those half days have been so important to my kids. And the reality is you're now putting 4 classes on one day for one of for my kids. And I don't like this at all. I'm just gonna put my 2 cents out there because of that.
Mr. Cruz, do you know if because sometimes 0 hour actually do you think that you plan on that to have it a different?
Mrs. Pinkerton?
We have not, President Pratt, Mr. Cruz, members of the board, we have not talked about where 0 hour might fall. Definitely could be part of the conversation. I think I agree with you. Having 4 finals in a single day is a lot. So we have some logistics to work through on what that might look like to make it so that we don't have that situation come up.
We could certainly study it and bring your concern forward.
Okay.
And talk about what that might look like. And are there other ways to remediate that?
Okay.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Bester?
I don't have kids in the district, but from looking at it kind of from a business standpoint, I think it's smart. I think it's efficient. I think it's effective. It increases balance, not only for staff, for students, for administration. Obviously, there's some fine tuning that needs to be worked out. But at the end of the day, I really believe this is I'm glad that we're looking at it. We're tossing out some ideas and we're always focused on constant improvement. And I think this is one of those steps toward that.
Thank you, Mr. Bester. Any other comments or questions? I really appreciate how you're looking at like the rhythm of things. I love that you added the half day in August. I love also April, to be honest, is hard, man. Like usually we have Good Friday. And so then when it's not in there, it's like, oh man, that's a long time not to have some little bit of break. So, and I also love, just like you said, in May, having a half day for the K-8 to be able to do class placements and things like that. It gives space for collaboration that could have been more difficult, that it probably is more difficult right now in the current schedule. So I really love just, how you guys were really thoughtful and intentional about that. So that if there's no other comments or questions, this is a study item. So then we'll go on. Our next item is related, the 26-27 Vail Early College calendar.
Pinkerton.
President Pratt, Superintendent Cruz, members of the board. In similar fashion, we bring the Vail Early College calendar to you, usually a little bit later than the other calendars, because what we have to wait for is the PIMA calendar to be released. So we're bringing this to you as a study item as well. PIMA calendar for 26-27 has been released. So this is the 26-27 Vail Early College calendar. Not a lot of changes from years past. In fact, it mirrors it pretty closely, but wanted to bring it to you as a study item.
Thank you. Comments or questions? No. I just love the Vail Early College. Can I just say? It's just such a great program. Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, this is an informed item. We did discuss the meat of the item with the previous item. So we will move on now to the 27-28 student and staff calendar. Also an informed item, right?
It's
Study item.
Yep.
Sorry.
Ms. Pinkerton.
Similar fashion, this is the 27-28 calendar. This is where we started and have started having those initial conversations. The proposed 3 pieces that we talked about for 26-27 are also included in 27-28. So you see those same 3 pieces, the 2 half days in August, the half day in May moved to that Wednesday, and then the 2 half days for finals for high school in December and May.
The only other thing I'd add is, since this is the 27-28 calendars, to pay attention to when the start dates are for school, what the days are around the holiday break, and when the end dates are. We always try and, being mindful of when new teacher induction is starting in that 3rd week for K-8 as an example for on the Monday for K-8, on Friday in the third week. And then where does Christmas holiday fall in? We're somewhat joking, we should just have a 7-year rotation, which is really what this is as far as when those start and stop dates are, but just want to be mindful and point those things out. Just the first look at that. So again, study item will bring this back. And we'll take a look at what are some other ways to mitigate that if it goes, if we bring back the 2-day to the 3-day. I clearly hear your concern in regard to that. What I would say is, just in general, as a generality, what we're also trying to adjust to is what are the majority of how are finals changing from what they used to be. We originally started high schools, every teacher gave a final, an in-class final. How do you break that up and what does studying look like? The reality is now that many classes don't have finals. They use final projects sometime and they close out the grade before the final week, or they do some other kind of project that's associated with that. So, but we'll get that information. We know that doesn't apply to every student. And we'll certainly follow up.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. If there's do you have a comment?
I do.
Yes,
This
please.
is really important.
Yes, I'd love to hear it.
The 27-28 calendar is the first Bell calendar that I will not be living my personal life associated with.
Wow.
After having kids enter school in, I don't know, it was too long ago. Yeah. That's wild.
That is wild. Well, you're free to take vacation wherever you want.
I am. I'm going to take hold of these 9.5 days.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pinkerton. So our last item is adjournment. I recommend that I propose that we adjourn the meeting at 9:04. Do we have a
So moved.
Second.
I think we all, okay, perfect. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you. Have a good night.